It says recording. So let me,
I am missing several.
I am too. Maybe they'll come on shortly.
Well, guys,
Uh,
thank you for being here. We hope everything went okay for you and you weathered the storm. Um, Anybody lost power for over 12 hours? Oh, that's good. That's good. It's I think around here we were all braced. People were going crazy because of the hurricane that we had last fall. It really hit us hard. And in fact, I've heard a lot of people say that maybe the reason we didn't have so much damage with the trees is because they've already been taken down with a lean. I don't know, but it was nice to only lose power for a few hours.
okay, Dr. Revis, I think we can go ahead and just,
Okay, well, welcome to week 3. Again, glad you could be with us. Hope everybody stayed safe and warm. And we've got a lot to cover tonight, if you will. There are some reminders about your clinical coach ones. If you're in my class, if Dr. Stone, if you've not connected with Dr. Stone yet and set up your virtual meeting, then you need to reach out to him. And in Dr. Stedman class, you should have already gotten an email and scheduled with Dr. Neal. Any questions on that? If you have not, please send us an email, your respective instructor an email, so we can help you facilitate that. Dr. Stammen, anything else you want to say there?
uh, no, you said it all, but it's important that you go ahead and get that taken care of. That needs to happen so that you can effectively move forward with everything that you've got to do. The principal needs to understand everything.
Okay, so we're going to next go into our textbook activity. And so you had to read the preface and chapter 1 for tonight. So, Dr. Stedman, can you stop share just
I
a
will.
minute
Yes, ma'am.
and let me pull up?
Absolutely, yes.
Um, Pull up just a quick few slides here. Okay, chapter 1, the hero is the data. What I would like for you to do is in the chat box, would like for you to write your response to this question. Why do you think the title of chapter 1, the hero is the data, the hero is the data, is the appropriate title? If you could just respond in the chat box. I'm going to have to stop share, aren't I?
Um,
So we can see those responses, or so I can at least.
okay. Okay. If you hit chat, you'll see them.
Okay. Got a lot of responses about data's driving instruction. Data drives the school, reveals what's needed. Um, you can't improve what you can't clearly see. Data tells us where we need to be and where we need to go. the driving force. Good responses. I like this one. That helps administrators and teachers see what is really happening inside that classroom. And I think now in 2026, 2025, 26 school year, I think by now that schools and principals and school staff are so used to looking at data. It's not like it used to be even 5 years ago. But the data is the proof.
I like what Jason said. Just, I can't see it now. Let me see.
Just like coaching,
Yeah.
I watch video and look at stats, data, to better prepare my teams for what lies ahead. It's how we base a lot of our decision making. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. So let's move then to the next slide or the next question on my slide. The next question is this. Share what resonated with you the most in chapter 1. What resonated with you the most? What did you learn? What new idea or new thought came across your mind as you were reading the chapter? Dr. Stedman, you want to read some of those responses coming
Okay,
in?
I will. Um, Says data tells us what's working and what isn't. The title, "The Hero is the Data," is important uh, because we see where we need to go. I like the idea of videoing. Um, and okay, well now, let me see. Just like, okay, I'm reading some of the ones that you had. So it, it's a catalyst for change, prompting professionals to seek out ways to improve. Um, it moves whenever Dr. Revis when one comes in, and then have to go back and find it.
Yeah.
Taylor says on page 6, it talks about teachers not having a clear picture of how students are really experiencing their classrooms. And then the chapter goes on to talk about videoing your lessons, which I liked. Um, Here's the one. It says it is a catalyst for change, prompting professionals to seek out ways to improve it. As a coach, if it can start with the data with the teacher, they are often far more willing to work together. The fact that data is important, but using the data is also important. You're right. It's no good if you don't use it, put it to use. Building trust and walking the walk is what stood out to me. Don't ask what you aren't willing to do yourself. That's really good. This one says walk the talk as well. Um, Says I've never really envisioned using video as much as was described in the reading to enhance my classroom. It makes sense with sports. Why wouldn't it be useful in the classroom? Data drives the decisions we make, what went well, what needs to be changed. Video teacher coaches everyone. It determines how we prepare and guide instruction for our learners. Data helps educators identify where they need to focus their improvement to have the most impact on students. And I'll read one more. Teachers truly see and learn from watching themselves how long they're taking at every point of the lesson. You can tell them, but they can see it they can see it themselves. The reflection is good for them to see. And it's not only good for teachers, it's good for administrators, superintendents to also video themselves. It improves your speaking skills. It tells you how you're engaging with the audience. So, it's not just for teachers, it's for all of us, principals too.
Right. And one thing that many of you touched on, just my thoughts. Um, our views of reality are shaped by perception errors. It's how we see ourselves is not always how others see us. And we can set up defense mechanisms that can influence us to make poorly informed decisions about our work and our lives. So, data helps professional learners get a clear picture of reality. Many of you mentioned the videotaping in this program. Your last big project that you will have in 603 or 605 will be videotaping and working with one of your colleagues. Now, you just don't go in and start videotaping people. I think if you're the new kid on the block, the new principal, I think just starting to whip out that video player or recorder and start recording. I can't think of anything worse for you to do, unless your teachers are very accustomed to being videoed. And on page 7, it talks about what you have to set in place before you can use this powerful tool. They have to trust you and your character. They have to know that what you are going to do with it, it's reliable and you're competent in working with them or your instructional coach working with them. Again, you have to set the stage and build that trust before video lessons even can be or should be attempted in your school. We talk a lot about instruction, and I just want to throw a few things out here. I've had 3 people already turn in their assignment 1, Dr. Stedman, so I was very impressed. But let me just share with you, we are going to do in one of your assignments, you're going to do some research about instructional practices, research-based instructional practices to meet the needs of your identified target student group and your target academic area. But I want to draw our attention back to Marzano's 9. And I know that most all schools are very familiar with this and school districts use this. But remember, these gain so much popularity because it doesn't matter whether we're talking about students with disabilities, second language learners, gifted and talented students, all students can increase their learning if teachers will use these 9 high effect size instructional strategies. So we talk about that a lot, or used to talk about it quite a bit. But when you are doing your research on instructional strategies, I'm sure some of these things will come up. Again, you're talking about the coaching cycle in this textbook, and this is Knight's coaching cycle or impact cycle. The coach will identify a teacher to collaborate and set a goal with and select a teaching strategy. And then the coach and teacher set a goal, choose what strategy to work on. And for the coach, that means maybe explaining and modeling teaching strategies. Now, as a principal or administrator, you wouldn't be the one doing the modeling necessarily, but you could facilitate that modeling and make sure it's taking place where it needs to. And then instructional coaches monitor how teachers implement. So it's a continuous cycle of identifying, learning, and improving. And of course, our goal there is improving our instructional practices so we, in turn, can improve our student learning experiences. Any final thoughts in chapter 1,
Dr.
Dr.
Evans, if you didn't, you may have just gone to straight to chapter 1. But if you didn't read the preface, please go back and read that. The preface has some just valuable information in there. And one thing that I went back and every time I read it, Dr. Evans, I highlight something else. But But one of the things, and I think it sums a lot of everything up, it says data helps us see where we are, where we want to go, and how much progress we're making on our journey to our goal. And I think you're going to see how valuable that statement is, throughout the semester and throughout, this program that you're in.
Thank you. I think you will enjoy this book, and you will use it as a handbook all the way through all of your work on NCPPA portfolio process. Dr. Stedman?
Okay, let me share my screen again. And while we're in the discussion mode, we ask that you also read an article since last week for tonight's class entitled Data Informed Decision Making in Education. And you will get about every week, you'll get some additional reading that you need to learn. And these are just things that we find that are very relative to what we're talking about, for the week, and especially, really throughout the semester. But this one specifically, again, the title, Data Informed Decision Making in Education, a Comprehensive Approach. And then I like the statement, and it's a pretty recent article as well. It says, a data-informed mindset is key to ensuring that human agency remains at the forefront of decision making. And it goes on to talk about, that, with so much artificial intelligence, AI, with the growth of that if you rely completely on AI, you let it do all of, you're going to miss a lot. If you let AI generate the data mindset, for your school and for the students that you're working with. One of the things, you've always got to remember the human element in things. But one of the things that it pointed out in here, let me see if I can find it. It talks about that AI system is vetted for bias. There's a lot of bias in there, and what you'll find as we talk in the class later on this evening, as we prepare you for your next assignment, we're going to talk about, when you look at data, we're going to talk about validity and reliability. So I want you to remember those terms. We're going to talk about focus groups. And the reason why that you need to make sure that human element is involved in the decisions that you make. And it talks about in here, let me find it. Okay, I like the example they gave in here. It says, for instance, consider a scenario where a district uses standardized test scores to evaluate teacher performance. If the data is skewed by socioeconomic factors, or if the test itself is biased against certain groups, it could lead to unfair evaluations. To mitigate this, leaders must seek out diverse data points, including qualitative feedback from students and teachers, classroom observations, and contextual factors like community resources. The key is to ensure that decisions made with this data are equitable and reflect the actual needs and capabilities of students and educators. Now, if you rely completely on artificial intelligence, it's not going to factor that in, is it, Dr. Revis? It's not going to do it. So you've got to be open to what's new. I mean, artificial intelligence is out there, so we know it's not going away. It's only going to grow. So yes, artificial intelligence has its place, but you've got to remember the human factor, the human element in making these decisions. And that will come out a lot when you meet with these focus groups, when you meet with your data teams, you do the data dives that you're going to do, and you have that real conversations about, what the data is actually talking about. And as you look at your particular schools and you look at the groups where the needs are, and and all of this is going to lead into um, the assignments that we will begin talking to you about. Um, does anybody have anything from this article that really stood out to you that you would like to comment on? Anybody? Dr. Revis, there's two articles next week and they have a chapter to read. We have 24 students. We're going to make sure that every student responds to something next week. They cannot not talk to us. So
Okay.
be prepared next week. We're going to call you out. And it's not to, you've got to get used to this, and we've got to hear from you. We've got to know what you're thinking and everything. And so we don't want you to be shy. We're not going to, we're not going to intimidate you in any way. We're not going to, you know, you're not going to, your comment is not going to be wrong. We may elaborate on it, we may challenge you a little bit more in what you say, but we want everybody to participate in the class throughout the semester. So make sure you're reading your articles, you're reading your chapters, and be prepared. Elizabeth, would you like to say something?
Oh yes. Based on the article, this is something we were going back and forth on in our sit team at our school about how our county is moving back to basically putting teachers on probation and giving them mentors and putting them on like a probation year if they do not show growth on their EVAs based off of their standardized test scores from their EOGs. And we were just talking about the discrepancies with the testing. Like, are we really going to rate our teachers based off one test, one performance, when there's plenty of factors that play into why children may score lower or higher and they're doing great all year, but they get on a time test and they bomb it. So just reading it, rereading it in an article that is doing research on it and giving other alternative ways that leaders could use and factors. I thought that was very interesting. That just kind of ties into different topics. Although I'm not there in that city, like, and I only teach kindergarten now, but that is like a big thing that we are talking about in our sit team.
Thank you for sharing that, and that's what we're talking about. You know, you making some type of connection. Think about when you're reading these articles, when you're doing your research, tie it back to where you are. Make it relevant to the work that you do and what you see and what's the practices at your school. The practices at your school may not be the best practices, and you'll discover some of that um, in the work that you do. Your job is going to be able to figure some of that out and make presentations to your administration to take something that is maybe not where it needs to be in your school and move it to the next level. And we're going to be talking all about that. But thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing that. Um, Revis, what is next on the list?
Um, well, we're just looking again about the North and South Carolina school report cards, because you've got to look at that data to do your assignment one. So, any questions? Were you able to pull your past 4 years of data and feel like you got a good handle on everything by now? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay, great.
Okay, good. So
And
you,
I know that what we're looking at right now in assignment one is the EOCs, EOGs, the standardized testing data to identify, your academic area of priority and your target student group. And again, I understand that, you know, if you have or are working in a school that has a high population of students in poverty, your test scores are never going to be up there with a school that is not in a high poverty school. But all children can show growth. And so, even though we are looking just at the test scores for this assignment one, in assignment two, we're going to get into some other data as well, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But everybody okay on the report cards? Have found everything they need to find? Okay, good. Now, enough said about that. Dr. Stedman?
Okay, we went over your clinical internship last week. We're just going to take not a lot of time, but we want to make sure that you are clear. Is everybody clear on what your expectations are for this semester for your internship? Was there anything that was not clear last week? I got a couple of questions this week, emails, and I responded to that. So I hope that cleared those questions up. But you don't sit on this. Don't sit on this. You need to make sure that you have diversified opportunities every week. And remember, don't wait for somebody to come to you. You go to your principal or you go to another leader in the school and you look for opportunities and you ask. You help make it happen for you. Your principals are very, very busy people. And it's not that they're neglecting you, it's just that sometimes they don't think about you because they're doing so many other things. So you have to figure out how to make that time with administration, principal, assistant principal, um, you know, uh, coaches in the school, you know, you make it happen. But it looks like everybody's pretty good with things, Dr. Revis.
Okay.
Okay. And I think next you were going to review or talk about APA again.
Well, I guess you want to just take questions on that, Dr. Stedman, or what do we want to do there?
I think so.
Okay.
We're really not at a place to really talk heavily about, we see this or we see that. We'll do that after we really focus on the work that's coming in,
Okay.
the first work. But, I guess, we can entertain any questions. Is there anything about APA that Dr. Revis would need to go back over again tonight as you're doing your work? Because we want your work to be as accomplished as it can be when it comes to us. That means APA. Jared raised his hand, Dr. Revis.
Okay, Jared.
Yeah, I submitted my assignment one and got my feedback on it today. And one of the only questions I really had on it is for the appendices. Part of the feedback said to include the slides presented with my principal. How exactly do you want like that to look? Because in the appendices, I put in the figures, like I specified the figures that we went over, and I moved those down to the appendix C. But I didn't have it like in a slide format, so I don't know exactly, what you meant by the
Yeah.
slide presentation when
Yeah.
I had the figures in there too.
Okay, good question. So in your rubric, you have to do a presentation to your administrator, and you should prepare a slide presentation, a slide deck, Google Slides, whatever you want to use. And so those slides need to appear as slides because your evaluators for Gardner Webb, and I'm not talking about Dr. Stebbin and myself, and we haven't even talked to you about that yet, but your evaluators will expect to see screenshots of those slides. So you just need to make sure that they show as this is my slide deck presentation.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So like a screenshot of the actual slides we went over, it
Yeah.
would be fine for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
perfect.
Jared and all of you, make sure that when you put that slide presentation in there, that you make it large enough that it can be read. A lot of times the
Yes,
print
sir.
is so small you can't read it, so make sure that we can read it.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And then I guess real quick then, because the figures I use in the presentation, I put them in Appendix C. Should I just adjust Appendix C and just put in the screenshot for the slides then? or do you want me to add a whole new appendix with the presentation?
I can't remember yours specifically.
Okay.
I'll have to go back and look, Jared.
All right, my apologies. Didn't mean to put like all of it on the spot like that.
Yeah.
But,
I think
but
you have to put them all in there. So you may have to do an appendix, a different appendix entry like
Okay.
appendix
I'll just
D.
do that. I think that's the safest
Yeah.
route anyways.
Okay. Allison?
Yeah, my question was along those lines. So my question originally was, can we just link our Google Slides in the appendix, like the last appendix page, or do we need to like put the actual pictures of each? Like if I have 10 slides, do I need to do a picture of each slide, like one per page, or just make them smaller and insert them on one page?
As an evaluator, a prior evaluator, I don't want to click on anything. Okay. I want to see a smaller, like 6 per page. You got to be able to read them. Okay. Just make sure that those are readable. Um, and you don't want to take the risk when you turn this into the Gardner Webb evaluators. You don't want to take the risk of not giving them permission for that. And you don't know who your evaluator is going to be. So I always defer to take a screenshot and put them in there. Okay. Brooklyn?
Yes, I have just a couple questions. And speaking of the figures, are we talking about graphs specifically, or can it be numerical numbers as well?
Okay,
Like picture graphs versus numbers?
within your text, if you're putting your figures within your text, which that's the way the example is done, or the helpful hints is done. The figures are appearing right within that text. If you're doing that, those figures are labeled numerically as you go through. Now, if you are putting your figures in an appendices, which is what we recommend you do, just it will speed things up for you later on, but you don't have to. Your evaluators from Gardner Webb will take it either way. They'll take them in the text as figures numerically, and don't forget there's a APA formatting, or they will take them in the appendices. If you put them in the appendices, though, remember that those are with alphabetical order: Appendix A, Appendix B, Appendix C. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Brooklyn.
Well, like I'm asking like specifically, like does it have to be like a picture graph, or like just a graph that we make in the numerical numbers?
We are not going to make a differentiation between tables and figures. So
Okay.
any figure, table, chart, graph, whatever, you call it a figure.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that
And
get it?
then
Okay.
I have two quick other ones. When we
Okay.
refer to our school, like I'm saying school A, it's considered a proper noun, so we capitalize it every time, correct? Because I know a lot of things are lowercase.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
You could.
that was
Yeah.
minor. And
Yeah.
then the note, is that only in the appendices after
The what? I didn't hear you.
when you do a note after the figure, that's only in the appendices, right?
No,
Not
you can put it on an in-text figure as well, but use those sparingly. A lot of people like to explain what they want the reader to gather or glean or discern or interpret. That a note is just to make sure the reader understands your figure and how it's laid out. And if you had like p-values or very difficult axes labeled, typically you're not going to need to put a note on anything because you're going to explain, you're going to introduce that figure, present the figure, and then explain what you want the reader to glean, discern, interpret, or see. Does
Okay,
that make
thank you.
sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay. Jara?
Yes. I wanted to ask because we have been out of school this entire week. I think we'll be remote learning for the remainder of the week. So I hadn't gotten to do my presentation with my principal, but I talked to her today and asked her if we could just get on the phone, and I'll be sending her the presentation tomorrow and then we'll discuss it. Is that okay? Because I haven't written the concluding paragraph because I'm just waiting to hear from her feedback about it.
Dr. Stedman, take that question, please.
Jaira, that will be appropriate if she responds back. If for some reason you have been impacted by the weather, turn everything in and put a disclaimer in there. I have not had a chance to make the presentation to my principal. Plans are, and put the date on there. You need to get this done as quickly as possible. Just put a disclaimer in there if that has not happened. And we will grade what you have, and then we'll have to send it back for you to resend it back, resubmit, once that has happened. Make every
Okay.
effort to try to make it happen if y'all can.
Or you can
Okay.
do a Zoom with that principal too.
Yes.
Yeah. It's our plan to get it done tomorrow during the school day, and then I'll write that paragraph, and then just to make sure I'm on the right timeline, my goal was to submit it in the assignment submission tomorrow to get feedback and then resubmit it, I guess.
Yeah, you have two opportunities. Make it as complete as you can the first time, and then if it needs something else, then we'll give you one opportunity to send back for revisions and for any additional work that would need to be in there if your meeting with the principal has not happened.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Elizabeth, did you have a question? Okay, there you go. Go ahead.
Oh, I did. I just want to say your example model was great, and thank you, because I
Oh,
stressed my life away these past few days trying to. I'm slightly a perfectionist, and I have really bad OCD. And your model of how to write it out and not to overshare in each part because that's built up was very much appreciated.
good.
So yeah, I hope
Now,
that continues.
good. We do a gradual release on those. Okay. By the end of the
Please don't.
semester, your helpful hints models will get shorter and shorter. Okay. Okay, Dr. Stedman.
Okay, let's go back. Let me pull this up. Enlarge it. We ask all of you to read. We introduced the North Carolina Standards for School Executives last week. And in our introduction, we shared with you that these are for North Carolina, but South Carolina has their own standards that are very similar to North Carolina. This is actually how principals and assistant principals are evaluated by the superintendent in districts, or it's supposed to be. If it's not happening, then, it's supposed to be, right, Dr. Revis? It's
Right.
supposed to be. So we introduced you to those, how it all started, the purpose behind it, and the history behind all of these. And I ask you to read for this week, Standard 1, Strategic Leadership. Now, we did tell you that as you work through this semester, that you will actually have to engage in the use of several of these standards this semester, and then you'll engage yourself in more of them next semester, and by the end of the program, you will have been involved using all of the 8 standards. One of the things that you need to pay close attention to is that several of these standards, you will have to use them and make reference to them when you submit task 1 into NCPPA by the end of this semester. So please make sure that you take the work that you do with these standards very seriously. Let's look at standard number 1, strategic leadership. I want you to notice it's talking to you. It says school executives. Remember, I told you week 1 that you're no longer teachers. You're no longer what you are. You're in Dr. Revis and my eyes. You are now principals. So I'm speaking to you as a school executive. As a school executive, it says that you're going to create conditions that result in strategically. Now, that's a key word, strategically. That means that, Dr. Revis, it's not going to just be haphazardly done. It's not you're going to just pull something out of the hat and say, here, there's got to be a strategy behind what you do. And the strategy for re-imaging, your school has an image already based on its vision, on its mission, and its goals for the 21st century. But your job as an administrator will be to strategically take it from where it is to a new place and a better place. We're always striving to make the good better and the better best. So, that's going to be your job as an administrator. Understanding that schools ideally prepare students for an unseen but not altogether unpredictable future, the leader creates a climate of inquiry that challenges the school community to continually repurpose itself by building on its core values and beliefs about its preferred future, and then developing a pathway to reach it. And that responsibility in making this happen, strategic leadership, that is a sole responsibility of the principal of the school. Now you surround yourself with people to help you do it, but it must be led by you. You're the captain of the ship. Now, how are you going to do that? And this is how you're going to be evaluated, not by, honestly, somebody could come in and say, the superintendent could say, you're responsible for addressing every one of these practices. As the principal of the school, you should be able to share a vision of the changing world in the 21st century that schools are preparing children to enter. Notice the key word, systematically challenges the status quo. Systematically. That's a key word there. The status quo. What's the definition of insanity again? It says that, the definition of insanity is that if you keep on doing what you've always done, you're going to keep on getting what you've always got. And so you've got to systematically challenge the status quo. For many, many years, Dr. Revis, education operated on status quo. Principals had been there for 100 years, and nothing ever changed. But then during our era of being a teacher and a principal, all of that began to change. And in North Carolina, it really came under the Hunt administration as governor, because he was our governor for actually 16 years, 4 terms. And he was known as the education governor. So a lot of excellent things happened during his tenure as the governor. And then I want you to go on and look at some more keywords. Not only systematically does things, you utilize data from the North Carolina Teacher Working Conditions Survey in developing the framework for continual improvement in the school improvement plan. Goes back to what one of you said. Data's not any good if you don't use it. The Teacher Working Conditions Survey is really an invalid instrument if, as the principal of the school, the leader of the school, you don't take it and you take it seriously and you say, okay, whether you believe it or not, that's what they think. That's how they feel. And your job is to help change that mindset in a more positive way. And then I want you to look down at the other keywords. Creates. Creates with all stakeholders a vision for the goal. You've got to be a creator. Creates processes. And then it goes on to talk about not only creates, you adhere to statutory requirements required regarding the school improvement plan. Your job is to make sure that the law is followed precisely at your school. And then look at that other keyword, facilitates. You're the head cheerleader at your school. You have to make sure that you rally the team to success. You rally them to have the right attitude about moving forward. Notice and what it says, communicates strong professional beliefs about schools, teaching, and learning that reflects latest research and best practices, and in preparing students for success in college or in work. And then you create processes to distribute leadership throughout the school. I thought, Dr. Revis, as I was thinking about, those strong words, those strong beginning words, I thought about, you can say, a teacher can say, they can retire and say, I taught for 30 years. And that may be true. A good teacher does teach for 30 years. But then you've got teachers and you've got administrators, principals, that they teach 1 year 30 times. Or a principal that practices being a principal 1 year 10 times if he's a principal for 10 years, because whatever he does the first year, he's doing the same thing the last year that he retires. You can't do that anymore. That is not the role of a 21st century administrator. So if you've got teachers that are status quo, that are stuck in their ways, your job is to help them to effectively teach for 30 years, 30 times. Each year should be a growth aspect, and from the first year to the 30th year, there should be tremendous growth and success in that teacher's career. The same thing in a principal. When you become a principal that first year, if you're doing the same thing the second year and the third year, if you haven't learned from your mistakes, if you haven't engaged in the best practices and practice what the best practices are, then you're not going to be effective. Your job is to prove that you're doing all of this, and you can't wait until right before evaluation to do it. This is something you have to know and understand, and you have to have it embedded in your mind. You have to understand this, and it has to become a living part of what you do on a daily basis. And then the artifacts, these are things that will measure all of this. The degree to which school improvement plan strategies are implemented, assessed, and modified. Again, the North Carolina Working Teachers Condition Survey, and I'm going to just drop to the bottom, student testing data. All of this and more become artifacts that will serve as proof that you are moving the school forward, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Dr. Revis, any more comments on that before we move forward?
Well, I think, this is a lot. When you start thinking about just what's in this one standard, it can be very overwhelming.
It can.
I mean, I have to do all of that as a principal. Yes. Will you do all of that very well your first year? Probably not.
No.
But it depends, you have to go in just like a physician, and you have to examine what's working well and what needs some tweaking and refining and revision. And, most people don't like change. You do. All of you like change, or you wouldn't be in this program. But not everybody you work with right now likes change.
No.
And so you've got to understand that change takes some time, and you can't change everything at one time. And you have to, your job as a principal is to mobilize people to want to change. And to me, that's the big thing about leadership is, getting people to do what you want them to do and them not even realize it. And that's tough, but you motivate students a lot. And if you're a good classroom teacher, a good coach, good school counselor, you know how to motivate. And everybody's motivated differently. Wish we didn't have to do that. But as a principal, you've got to engage your teachers into wanting to be the best selves of themselves they can be. But you can't do it all at one time.
Thank you, Dr. Revis. And I'm going to close with this statement. It talked about, empowering teachers to become leaders in the school. Effective leaders develop and grow effective leaders. Always remember that. Effective leaders develop and grow effective leaders. You're always giving people opportunities to grow. You can't do it by yourself. If you become an island all by yourself, you will fail. You
You'll
cannot
crash
do
and
it.
burn.
You cannot do it. So you need to learn from the very beginning to 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 be willing to you will learn so much when you become a assistant principal. You'll learn from teachers. If you don't, you are failing in your job if you can't learn from teachers. There are teachers you will identify immediately. This teacher, I need to begin working with this. This teacher could be an effective assistant principal and principal one day. So you begin your career looking for those opportunities for people to grow them. Okay. Be ready next week to talk about standard 2. Okay. And next week I'm going to ask some of you to share out. So you don't know who you are, so be prepared. Okay. Dr. Revis, I think. Do we have any? I think, Dr. Revis, we need to just see if there's any questions about their assignment that's due, assignment 1, and then give them a glimpse of assignment 2. Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Now, guys, your assignment 1 is due in the Dropbox by 6 p.m. Sunday. Not 6:01, 6 p.m. And you really can't get around it because it stamps it. I may not get to giving you feedback till 9/11, but I know when yours comes in. And automatically, if it's late, it's late. Minus 10 points. And that you can never recover. So, you've had 3 weeks to work on it and get it in good shape. Then I give you feedback. And I'll give you a grade. If you got a few things to do, a 95, maybe an 88, maybe an 85. But if you make those revisions and make them all one time and send it back in the same Dropbox, then I'll review it. And as long as you've made all those revisions and your grade is adjusted back to 100, there's no reason every assignment cannot be 100. Okay? And that's kind of the way we work it. But now it has to be returned to us with all revisions complete by Thursday, the following Thursday. Okay? And if it's not, your grade stands. But we want you to do the best work you can do.
Dr.
So
Revis,
again,
we're talking about when we send it back for you to make revisions, some of the mistakes and you don't get multiple opportunities. So some of the mistakes is that, you get finger happy or trigger happy and you want to punch that key and resubmit it real fast. But when you do that, you many times you overlook things that you need. Take your time. You have until Thursday. Take your time and make sure that when you resubmit it, that you have dotted every I and crossed every T, and that you are really ready. Don't. I've had them to send it back within 30 minutes after I've sent it, and it still was not right. Now, I'll be honest with you, that frustrates me a little bit, Dr. Revis. When I've spent enough time to give you the good feedback. So please take the time and, give it what you need if we give you feedback on it, okay?
Now, if you don't understand my feedback, and sometimes you may not, you will as we progress through. But if you don't understand my feedback, just email me. I'll
Right.
have to go back and look at it. But I don't mind giving you further explanation, or I may, sometimes I think it looks great to me. I know exactly what I want to say, but it sometimes doesn't come out that way. But print
Right.
that off if you have the option to do that. I don't even know if you do. Print the feedback off and go through it and check everything off before you resubmit. Can we have some questions? Jody, I think you had your hand up first.
Um, yeah, I was gonna ask about the turn it in box. Like I turned my assignment in. I've made the adjustments and resubmitted it, but we're supposed to wait till you tell us to turn it in. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Mm.
Allison?
Just I think a couple questions, quick, I hope. So the hypothesis part, how detailed does that need to be, or is it really just like the hypothesis and that's it, or do we go into detail?
Don't right now, all you're doing is I hypothesize that if we implement research-based instructional strategies for our students with disabilities in North Carolina Math 1, those students will performance will improve, and therefore very general. Don't get into any strategies or
Okay.
anything.
One,
That
one, one
hypothesis,
sentence. Right, Dr. Revis? It's one
yes.
sentence, one statement.
And
Okay,
that
that's
hypotheses will get more detailed as we work
as
through
we
the
go on.
assignments.
Okay.
Okay? Good
And
question.
then I know you said we're not supposed to put anything identifying about our school. I did use our district provides us a data dashboard, and I use that for like the breakdown of the ethnicity. And so I put like chccs.org as, is that considered identifying, or is that
Yes.
just
Yes, it
Just
okay,
is.
put district dashboard.
district dashboard? And then in the references, I put the actual link to the website, or
No,
I
okay.
would not. I would
no.
not.
Okay. Okay. I think I can, I think it's still the same on the NCDPI
It probably
website.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just use that then. Okay. That
Okay.
was my question.
Brooklyn?
Yes, I have two. That just brought another one to me. When we state our the school vision and the mission statement, um, how do we reference that if we can't put like the link for where we found that from?
You can just put parentheses, school website.
Okay, so you don't put the actual website, you just say school website. Okay.
No, because the actual website will be an identifier.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
glad she said that because I wasn't thinking that for that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, just making sure I'm clear, once we submit, our second attempt wouldn't be due until, would it be February 5th? Is what you said, the following Thursday?
That
Yeah.
Thursday.
Now, hey, if you get it in Wednesday, fine.
Right.
Get it in Tuesday, fine. Just don't throw it back at us without going through it, okay?
Oh, correct. I was just making sure the second
Yeah.
attempt wasn't due
And
by
then we'll tell you. Yeah, now I expect that very few of you will be told it's perfect, move on to turn it in the first time. Because we try to be tough at the first. So don't use turn it in until we tell you you can. Okay?
And you'll tell us that individually?
We will.
Like,
In your feedback. In your feedback. If it's fine and you're ready to move on, that second assignment, you may be fine, ready to move on, and we'll tell you, this is fine, submit to turn it in. Remember, turn it in checks for two things.
Say that again, Dr. Revis, you froze.
I'm sorry. Remember, turn it in checks for similarity, plagiarism, and it detects AI writing. Please, 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 whatever you do, if you are using Grammarly, hey, that's great. Check your spelling, check your grammar. If it tells you to rephrase a sentence or a paragraph, no, that's AI writing. It has to be. AI writing picks up when something in your paper all of a sudden is not the same as what you've been writing. That AI detector will come up because we all have our own writing style. You cannot allow an AI tool to summarize your work.
And Dr. Revis, we are running into that with our students that we had last semester
Yes.
and what they're turning in. I went back after our discussion, after our talk, Dr. Revis, and I've had to send notification to several because when it shows 100%, that means you've used something somewhere.
Yeah. If you're under 20%, it won't detect. And that's, it technically will detect if you use Grammarly. It technically will detect. That's an AI tool. Microsoft Copilot is an AI tool. It will detect those. But typically, if it's just a verb tense, subject verb issue, or a spelling issue, those are going to come under the 20% threshold. But if you get something and we detect it's 35% AI written, you've gone beyond what is allowed as far as using that AI tool. And you know what? I don't even know the names of all the AI tools, but they're out there. And you could be using them without even knowing that you're using them. My Microsoft Copilot comes up automatically, and it is the most annoying thing in the world. But if you can turn them off, turn them off. Jara?
Oh, thanks. I just wanted to make sure I understood correctly. I knew that we couldn't mention the school, but I believe I just heard you say we also shouldn't mention the school district. Is that
Sure.
correct?
That is
Okay.
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Everything.
no,
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Dr. Stedman.
No, you go ahead.
Everything has to be totally anonymous, blind, no identifiers. Okay?
Okay. So to clarify, when I do the reference page, that means take away the link to the
Yes.
site, right?
Yes.
Because I
You just
use
put school district. You can put XYZ school district website.
okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Assignment 1 good to go? Okay, let's go to assignment 2.
So I
Christine
have a quick
Mitchell.
question. In regards to the mission and vision statement and the motto, um, they're very specific to the school. So if I copy pasted the mission and vision into the search bar, my school pops up. So would you recommend that we not include the mission and vision in the paper if it could potentially identify the school?
Dr. Stedman, think. First time we've been asked this, Christine.
I would
I
not
don't.
copy it. I would not copy and paste it. I would type it in, and if you type it in, it does not become a live link.
But I think you're saying you could copy and put it in the search engine and it would come up. I don't think anybody's going to do that. Going to go to that
I
extent.
don't either.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was okay.
Yeah. You just blind names and all that, and you should be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Amanda, you got another question?
Yes, I think, sorry, I think I'm a little confused about the appendices versus like a works cited where you're listing where everything comes from. Like the appendices, we're putting the figures in, but then do we need the follow-up of like a works cited where all the information is coming from?
Yeah.
Your references.
Right. Okay. Because last time when we met, that's what I thought. And then my paper's written and I'm on that end, but I started to feel very confused about. So I just
Your
want
reference section, your reference section goes before your
Right.
appendices. Yes.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Rivers, do you think we need to just introduce them to assignment 2 because some will be ready to start on that? Just show it to
Yes, I
them.
think so. Yeah, if you could just go back to the agenda and pull that up. Assignment 2 is all about collecting other types of data. Assignment 1, you only collected, state assessment scores and growth scores. So assignment 2 is about digging a little deeper and looking at different types of data. You're going to look at different types of quantitative data and qualitative data. Now, first, what you're wanting to discern, you've already identified your academic area of concern, you've identified your target student group, but you want to understand as much as you can within your school, well, what are some factors contributing to the performance in that academic area and with that target group of students? And so we want to talk about, well, what are school programs? How, if students with disabilities, if that's our group of students, that is our target student group, how are they served? In some elementary schools, it's a total pullout. You know what? Sometimes your special needs teachers will pull them out during core instruction. They just get further behind. And so you want to try to investigate what types of programs and services and practices are being used in your school in that academic area with that student group. And you want to solicit some feedback from your teachers and some of the experts in your building about, what are some proposed improvement strategies? So, if you'll scroll on down, we're going to do a couple things. And let's go on and look at the rubric first. You're going to do 2 focus groups in this particular section. You're going to have a focus group with, let's say that my area of need, I'm a high school teacher, NC Math 1. And that's my target area of academic concern. Then I'm going to try to have a focus group with those NC Math 1 teachers, or in South Carolina, you call them Algebra 1. And I'm going to ask them a set of questions. I'm going to want to know, why do you think our students with disabilities or our English language learners are not doing well in Algebra 1 or NC Math 1? And give them some opportunities to talk to you about their ideas and their thoughts. And let's scroll on down. Let's go to the helpful hints. I think that's probably the easiest place to go to since we're over our time. Excuse me.
Okay, here we are.
And I wrote some notes in here because I didn't know how far we would get. And the first paragraph, our first section is called an overview. You need to go ahead and restate your priority area of academic need in your target student group. Then you talk about your 2 focus groups. You're going to have 2. One with selected teachers, staff who are actually involved in teaching that content area and those grade levels, if you will, and you're going to also want to talk to somebody that may work with that target student group. Most of you, all of you, are probably going to identify English language learners, students with disabilities, or students in poverty, because those are our lowest performing groups. So, you talk about what you're going to do, give an overview. You're going to do a focus group with selected staff, and then you're going to do another focus group with like your ELL teacher at your school, your principal, and maybe even somebody from your district office. You're also, well, let's talk about the focus groups. Now, there are some links in your agenda that will help you as far as setting up a focus group. I hope the weather doesn't disturb you too much. Now, this assignment's due February the 22nd, so you've got some time, but don't wait on it because you never know with the crazy weather when a storm's going to hit and wipe out a week for you. You can always do virtual focus groups. Here are the questions you may want to ask. In fact, last semester, we told students they had to ask these questions that were approved and provided by the university. Do we still want to do that, Dr. Stedman?
I think it's a best practice, Dr. Revis, and it keeps. I think it will help the students. It will guide them.
So I would use these questions that there are four of them, I think, no, maybe five. And these are the questions you're going to ask. You will probably want to record your focus group meeting. That's just so you can transcribe it and get some good quotes. Always ask permission before you do that, and that everybody's okay with that. Now, if you have to do it virtually, some people get a little wonky about you doing a recording virtually, but you just do what you have to do. But these are the questions you need to ask your focus group. You want to delve deeper into the culture, the types of professional development they've taken, what they feel has been very beneficial, what types do they need, what strategies or practices have they found to be useful with second language learners or students with disabilities, whatever, in math, NC Math 1, whatever. You substitute your student group in there in the content area. And then once you collect that data, then you analyze it and you synthesize the data. This synthesis is not easy, but you do notice that I take each question and I analyze and I provide at least one quote from a teacher. And I make my point and respond to each question. The next thing I do is look at my focus group with more of a leadership. And we call this an interview. You may not can get these people all together. If you can, you can call it a focus group. If you can't, do individual interviews. I would say you're probably going to have to do individual interviews for your school principal, your director of at the district level, and maybe your some of your L teachers. Your L teachers could actually be in with your other teacher group and ask these same questions. Again, you discuss the findings for each of these interview questions using quotes from the participants. Do not identify the participants though. So then you look at your teacher working condition survey data. You don't look at all of it. In North Carolina, there's a section on the teacher working condition survey that speaks just to school climate. Okay?
South Carolina has something similar, Dr. Revis, don't they?
Yes. And you have a school climate survey. We're just looking at school climate. We want to get a sense of, that climate around that student group. You can also break down and look at attendance and school discipline data, comparing that student group with others. And, that gives you your other quantitative data. Your qualitative data will be from your focus groups and interviews. Your quantitative data, your teacher working conditions survey, school climate survey, your attendance and student school discipline data. And then you're going to provide some conclusions and recommendations. What are some of the recommendations from these groups overall? Now, you're going to have to put on some higher order thinking hats for this assignment, because what you're doing is you're synthesizing that qualitative data and you're analyzing it. It's much different than what you did in assignment one, but you're getting a different perspective and you're hearing the voices and perspectives from the people who do the work in your school. So I think that's a plus, and it's a way to richly describe and get a better picture, overall picture of what's going on in your school.
And Dr. Evans, I would say that during the inclement weather time, as you are, you can't get out and go and do a lot of things if it's bad. So this is a good time to hopper down and, to get some things done. As you finish assignment one, you need to finish assignment one thinking about the next steps. And then as soon as you get assignment one cleared, you need to go ahead and plan immediately. You've got to make contact with these people. You cannot wait till the last minute. You need to go ahead and put a plan in place, and you need to go ahead and get your focus groups and your interviews done as soon as possible, because that gives you more time at the end to be able to put it all together and to effectively do your narrative work that has got to be done. Does that all make
And
sense?
again, there's a couple links in your agenda about conducting focus groups.
Right.
And you need to make sure you assure them that, you're not going to put report their name out with anything, that you may use their quotes, but they will not be identified. And that if you do a focus group, you need to make sure before you start the focus group, you tell everybody, this is a confidential sharing session, and it's not appropriate for people who are sitting there to go out and reshare what Kathy Revis said or what Danny Stedman said. That's not appropriate. So establish that confidential type of setting within your focus group, whether it's face-to-face or virtual. Allison?
Sorry, I have so many questions. For the attendance and the discipline data, is that over like a certain period of time, or is that like current for this school year, or what time frame are we looking at for that?
I would suggest for those two data sets, I would suggest using the same span that you've used in your EOCOG data.
Right.
And what you're looking for is you're trying to track a comparison with that target student group with the whole school, to see if there are a lot of gaps. Are these students absent from school more than their white counterparts or all the students? Are these students getting in more, having more discipline infractions or discipline issues or out of school suspensions?
Okay.
We all know it makes perfect sense. If they're not in school, they're not learning,
Right.
regardless of whether that's an exclusionary discipline practice or if they just decide not to be in school themselves. So,
Okay. So can one focus group be like the Math 1 teachers and one focus group be ELL teachers? And can there be overlap? Because at my school, we do have Math 1 teachers who are specifically teaching our newcomers / ELL
you can.
students. So they can overlap
If they can, yeah, if they can come, you need to, if you can get them together, that's the best thing because that
Okay.
saves time for you,
All
right?
right. Yeah.
But if their schedules won't allow, you can do 2 focus groups, but you've got to get principal interview in there.
Okay.
You've
And
got to get
again,
that in there.
Allison, it's 3 to 4 years of your most recent data. This year would not really be included because it's not completed data.
Not complete. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Collecting the data is not the issue. It's a
Right.
little time consuming. The time consuming part is analyzing and writing it up. Okay.
Okay, Dr. Revis, I think, we're at that point. If you feel comfortable and you want to sign off, it's been a good class. I've been very attentive and, we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That you can sign off. We'll hang on for just a few minutes to address any other questions that somebody might have. But if you feel comfortable, you can hang on as long as you want to, but you can sign off if you need to at this time.
Enos, did you get your issue squared away yet?
Not yet. I have a meeting with Dr. Stone tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Good.
Keep me posted, okay?
I
Yeah,
will.
and me too.
But
Enos.
Dr. Lisa Barnes did reach out to me saying that I don't need to be in that class. The
Okay.
other class, but the whole
Yeah.
20-month, 12-month thing, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope
All
it
right.
works out
Good deal.
for you.
Me too.
Good luck. Hey, Brooklyn, what else can I help you with? Or we?
Yes, I have a few, and I sent Dr. Stedman a chat saying that I had a few questions. In my research, I noticed, because I kept going back. I did the 4 years, but I was just interested in, back a few years, and I found where one particular principal like met growth for 3 years straight. And is it okay to make contact with that principal and interview them, or does it have to be exactly
It
who's the current principal?
it needs to be your current administration.
Okay.
Wouldn't you think so, Dr. Revis? Well,
I
how
would
far
think
back are you
so.
how far back are you going, Brooklyn? Because you don't need to go past the 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Yeah, it was further back than that.
Yeah.
I was just looking, and I, just interested in the strategies that principal used, because while they were there, the scores went drastically up. So
I don't know,
I
Dr.
just didn't know if
Revis.
I could use that for anything.
In the subgroup?
You have to be careful because you're going to have to present things to your current administration. And if it makes your current administration look not, that could come back on you. So you've got to
Okay,
be
I
careful
see.
with those things.
Okay.
I mean, I applaud you for seeing that.
Right. Yes.
And that's a natural question to want to ask.
Right.
And we can't tell you not to ask it, but if you do ask it, I keep it under my hat.
Yes.
Just don't put it in paper.
Right.
Okay. The other thing is the 5 questions that you're recommending us asking our groups. Can that be like sent to them like on a Google form for them to respond to? Or does that have to be
You've
like
got
a
to,
verbal interview?
you need to do a face-to-face focus group.
Okay.
Now you can give them the questions in advance.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so they can be thinking about it. And that's a really good practice anyway.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, because they're going to be like, I don't have much time for this. So, and then as I was looking, of course, my area is going to be the English learner group. And I know at our school, like students with disabilities, like most of the ELL students also, are fall in that category as well. Do we need to get all that data, or is that diving too deep? Like how they cross-reference?
I would just go with one group, one or the other.
Okay.
The the broader you make it, the harder it's going to be for you to
Okay.
work, and it'll become too much.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Brooklyn.
Tasha?
Yes, I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, it's a little frozen on my end. So as I have done my assignment, my school is known as School A. And I think I heard you say that, and when I referred to the district, I just said, like I had to say the school was like number one in math and number two in science, so forth. But I said in the district, I didn't name it. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Like the district.
That's what you should do.
Okay. And School A.
Right.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you. I know I heard it, but I just, before I turn this in.
That's fine.
And one more thing with these tables, like I couldn't get the years to go down for one. Will you accept
Figures,
it?
not tables, figures. Remember,
Yes,
everything's a figure.
figures, right. I have it here as figure, like right here and all in front of me. I have it as figure to, is identified like that. Just when I spoke about it, I used.
Right. Okay.
So my figures, is it okay if the drop down doesn't match, like 2022 going down, is it across? You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to get it.
You need alignment as much as possible. It needs to have a professional look.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just
So
have
that's
to.
I
You just have
I
to.
figure that out. I will. I just want to make sure. It's just the little things for me. I'm like, okay.
Right. And those little things do make a difference.
Yes.
When it goes, everything you do should make it as professional looking as you can. The aesthetics of your work does make a big difference.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I like you to look at the little things.
Yes,
The little things can turn into big things.
Yes. Jody?
Anybody else?
I'm sorry, me again.
Please don't say I'm sorry for asking a question. That's what we're here for.
So I noticed in a lot of your examples, because North Carolina, you're referring to them as ELLs and well, I don't know if it's a South Carolina or my school district thing. It's recently been ML. Should I refer to, does that matter?
It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Okay.
On testing data, what for your subgroups, what is it listed as? ML?
ML and LEP.
Then it needs to reflect, what you use. We say North Carolina terminology because, that's what we have to do.
Okay. As long as I identify what the word means is good. Okay.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I just knew it was going to a North Carolina portfolio, so I just wanted to make sure I was okay to use South Carolina lingo.
You'll be
Jody,
fine.
it's changed so much in North Carolina. One year we call them second language learners, then it's English language learners, then it's multilingual.
Yeah.
Just
It gets
establish.
confusing because even
Yeah.
our special ed now is, instead of students with disabilities, it's ELs, exceptional learners. Yeah. So I don't know. It's all changed this year, so it's crazy. But I wanted to make sure I used the correct terminology.
And just be consistent, establish acronym, and be consistent throughout all of your assignments.
Okay. And then when you were talking about all the quantitative data for this assignment too, one of the things that came up in my head, just big out of experience from last year, I taught a ML Algebra 1 course. A lot of the students, a lot, 50% of my class, newcomers, had not been in school since 4th grade. That's really hard to teach Algebra 1 to. So if I have access to that data, is that good quantitative data to put in for their performance? If they haven't been in school since 4th grade, they're probably not doing very well in
I
Algebra
would
1.
say so. I think that's important information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, other
Nothing
questions?
you can do about it, but
No. Dr. Evans, you
no,
remember?
it's good information just as far as providing that background.
Background, that's what I say. It establishes a history.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Evans, you remember we said that we had seen Tasha Beasley's name before?
Yes.
Tasha was with us and had to withdraw because her daughter became seriously ill and she was having to take care of her. So that is why she had to withdraw. And I asked her, and we remembered that we had seen you. And Tasha reminded me of the conversations that she and I had had.
Well,
So,
Tasha, so thankful you're back with us. And how's your
Thank
daughter?
She's much better, but that was scary. It was really, she was hospitalized. And, I think one time I was in a class in the hospital, and I just remember the compassion and empathy Dr. Stedman showed me as I was trying to take the course online in the hospital, nurses coming in. And I remember, I really appreciate that moment. And I just knew I couldn't, it was so serious. It was unexpected too. It just came
Well,
out of nowhere.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that that is in your rearview mirror, and so glad that you're back with us.
right.
Thank you
She
so
told me
much.
that she was determined she was going to make it this time.
Good deal. Well, you
Yes.
will. You
So
will.
thank you.
All right. Good night, Teresa. You guys, you got anything else you want to talk
Taylor,
about?
Tommy, y'all have any questions? Everything good?
Yeah, I think I'm just having a harder time because um I'm in a child development center, so it's not quite the same like data and like words. And so like meeting with my principal, she's our only administrator, and she's got like 1,000 different papers everywhere, and she's got all these like spreadsheets, and none of them look the same. And I don't know. I'm just trying to just figure it all out. So
But
Tommy, you're a math teacher. I'm a former math teacher too, so you and I have something in common. So, assignment one probably wasn't a problem for you, but assignment two, I don't know if I was never a strong writer, but I have had to learn to write. When I got my doctorate, I really had to learn to write. But you know what? I'll tell you, if you're not a strong writer, it's okay because writing is a pattern and you can learn it. I did. Okay.
Yeah. I think my only problem was and I talked to somebody else that's currently going through the Gardner Webb admin classes too. She's in her last semester. South Carolina just doesn't post as much data as North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just having a hard time like finding data. Like I found it, but like all it gives me on the state website or the state report card is students who made C or better, but it doesn't break it down by like subgroup.
I
So
found it today by subgroup, and I can't tell on South Carolina because I was fooling around with it. I can't tell you how I found it, but I did.
yeah, and I found it randomly, but it's just it doesn't.
Tommy, let me ask you this. Is there a testing guru at your school?
There is, and I've talked to him too about the data, but like, and he's given me the raw data that I've broken down, but it's, his breakdown is based on the ethnicity that they put on the testing, because he's getting it from like the DNC, the DR, the testing website. He's giving me stuff from there. So it's breaking it down by like the gender the student put down, not necessarily if they're an ML student or if they're a 504 student or whatever. So, the data says like Hispanic, but it doesn't necessarily say multilingual.
You think it might do good for us to have you got what you need to be able to get your assignment done for this week, Tommy?
Yes, sir. I pretty much got the assignment done.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back
Let's
and
do
change some.
this, Dr. Revis, to help our South Carolina people. That'll give you and me a chance to talk and to do some stuff. But I'm sure that there are some South Carolina people that are more adept to technology and those things. So maybe we just need to meet with our South Carolina people for a few minutes and open it up and let them help each other for a few minutes with some stuff. What do you think about that?
Well, that sounds great to me. I don't know when we're going to do it. I mean,
Would you be open to that if we were able to do that?
that'd be great. But I
Well,
think we're kind of on the ninth hour with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've got, I think, what I need for my assignment one. I
Okay.
just wish it would have been a lot easier to find, and things like that. Because really, like the only thing I can find on the South Carolina report card site is multilingual learners' progress, like how effective they were learning English. But it's
Right.
not like how they did on the Algebra 1 EOC.
Right. Right.
So,
They
but like I said,
reported.
I got that raw data from